So this is 2018 to 2019. So 35 to 34 years old. Took a trip to Colombia with Elena. Really amazing. Like the weather was amazing. People were awesome. Like when we got off the plane, it was kind of like um, this is summer, and so it was like, man, it was probably like 50 or 40 degrees out there. You know, we just left like Louisiana with like 90,000 degrees outside, 100,000 degrees, and come here and it's like you need a freaking jacket. It's like cold, and I love the cold weather. And but I remember the taxi cab breaking down. We had to stand in the middle of the interstate, going to the wrong hotel, where the cab driver brought us to the wrong hotel, then eventually going to the right hotel. Um, we missed our flight, yeah, on the way back because Alina said you don't have to do like the check-ins to go back to a country or whatever, you know. And come to find out, like our plane was leaving in like 30 minutes, and she thought we was just gonna walk straight there. We just wasted a whole bunch of time inside the gift shop things, looking at stupid stuff, and cause we felt we had time to waste. And we get there, and it was like this freaking line, like at least about like an hour wait. Like it was just packed with people going through like the little custom things or whatever like that. And I also remember like seeing this girl, she was wearing like a McNeese sweater. I thought that was so odd. Like the odds that we're inside um, Bogota at the same time, you know. But yeah, so talked to the people at the airport. Had to go through. I mean, we literally could see the plane right there once we made it there, and they said we already closed the doors or whatnot. And I felt bad, but then it ended up being like a huge blessing. Like you never know what like tragedies turn into blessings or whatnot because like we ended up staying. We went to a whole bunch of other places. Like we went to the museum. We got to see the street art. We almost went to the chapel at the top of the mountain, but it was getting too dark. We went to, of course, we went to our little favorite restaurant, Texas de Brazil, in freaking in Colombia. Um, yeah, it was totally worth it. I remember the cab driver trying to scam us because they had this own little device that you swipe the card, and we are like, we don't have a card. We had a card, you know, and it was like we only got cash, and he was like very adamant, like, you sure you don't have a card? I don't know if I'll be able to do it without a card. Without I was like, we got cash. We'll go to the top of the hotel. We'll come back down and get it. Yeah, our numbers would have been stolen. Now I read like reviews on people who actually used like their cards inside of a cab, and by the time they made it back to the hotel in Colombia, they bank accounts was being withdrawn from, you know. And so yeah, luckily we were smart on that tip or whatnot. Um, I know one day Mr. Ed and I was playing chess, and Mr. Chris kicked us out, and it was getting close to closing time or whatnot, and Mr. Ed and I went outside, and we just started talking, you know, and never know what it's gonna never know what it's gonna turn out into, you know. And he told me, he said, I wish I would have kept all of my tapes from my family, like that he recorded or whatnot. And I was like, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're talking about. And he said, one day they had a family gathering at someone's house, you know, that was a family member. And what he did was, it was probably say like about like 10, 20 different family members. He said he took out a tape recorder because it's like back in the day, like the 80s, 70s, whatnot. And he said he didn't tell anybody, and he just hit record. And he said I still listen to those tapes till today. And I was like, man, it's a really good idea because you never know when it's gonna be the last time that you'll be able to see like a family member that you talk to because we take everything for granted, you know. And so I went visited my grandmother house, and my aunt Daisy was there, Aunt Vanessa was there, Sonia was there, and I was sitting next to my grandmother, And I took out my phone, new technology, and didn't tell anyone. I just hit record, like I started recording the video, you know. And she ended up passing away. So that was like that December. So she ended up passing away like that January, between February, like whatever, that beginning of the next year. And yeah, I still go to the video saved inside of my phone today. Uh, I remember I was having a difficult time like with my front door. Uh, like I had this lock that's like a digital lock, and I was trying to change the batteries, and no matter what I put inside there, even I couldn't find the original tool, and I kept trying to find like little small pins to be able to open the back of it to change the battery, and it just kept messing up for like no apparent reason, you know, like it just wouldn't open, even though I had like the perfect size or whatnot, and I just needed some peace, man, and so I drove to my grandmother's house that day. This is before she passed away. This is still like in December, and my Aunt Daisy was there. It was just my Aunt Daisy and my grandmother there, and we talked a lot because my grandmother ended up falling asleep. I want to say about like 6ish. I know it's starting to get dark at the time, so about like 6ish because it's still like the winter, you know. And probably 5ish, whatever. I know for like 3.5 hours, my days and I just sat there and just talked, you know. And we talked about it a lot. I mean, like from like spiritual to like um, how do we see life, pretty much anything you could think about, just very open. And it was amazing because talking to her, I found out like how much we was like exactly alike, and it grew like a really deep bond from there. And because I really never knew much about it, you know, I always just see at my grandmother's house, and then wouldn't really hold like a conversation because there was always like a whole bunch of other people, or she was always busy doing work. But I really appreciate that day. It was really amazing. And yeah, going back to us talking about the video that uh, my grandmother ended up passing away. Uh, my mother had called me and she was like, "Your grandmother in the hospital." And I remember I was riding. I was with Alina at this time, and I was so used to like her going many times. Like I've been seeing my grandmother. I've been going back into her house every Sunday or at least once a week since like 2007, 2008 ish, and so it has been at least 12 years, you know. And like many times she had to like go to the hospital, and it was like, oh, it's so bad, blah blah blah, and she would come back home from the hospital strong as a bull, like laughing and joking. So as many times as that happened, you know, I was like, okay, this is just another one of those times, whatever, you know. And so I was like, all right, mom. I mean, that was rolling through my head. Like she a bull, man. Like not like in a bad way, like strong, like a bull. Like so I was like, I'm gonna go see her tomorrow inside the hospital, whatever, you know. Or I'm gonna go see her when she gets back home. If she can come back home tomorrow, or whatnot. And I was like right down the street, like from the hospital, riding with Alina, but I didn't go. And then I received the call the next day. She passed away. I, I cried too many times about that situation, so I don't think I have enough tears left. Hope I don't cry now. Yeah, but I say it was like a blessing and a curse. Cause it was a blessing because the last time I remembered her, we were laughing and joking, you know, and like she was strong, and that's how I wanted to remember her, you know. I didn't wanna remember her as like weak in the hospital, you know. So my last memory of her is being Gmaw. That's what I call it. GMAW. GMAW instead of grandmother Gmaw. And so, yeah, uh, she was really like my close friend, and we would just like those days I would go visit her. We would just sit there like. Oh, let me clear my throat. We just sit there and just like barely even talk. Like, so, like we would just enjoy each other's like presence. Calm down. Um, yeah, she was like one of like the funniest people, like the sweetest persons like in my life. Okay, okay, all right, back. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, like we'll just enjoy each other like presence. Like I could just sit there for like 30 minutes and wouldn't say a word and just don't let the noise pollute the air. Just be in each other's presence and happy. Uh, the funeral was hard, like for sure. Um, my dad and I went to go rent a tux because I was like Paul Bearer. I never wanted to be a Paul Bearer. Like, I was always remember to the right of me. Like, when I sit down talking, and I just sit right at me and I laugh. Uh, my bad. Brighter note. Um, is this the, yeah, it's this year. This is the year I met, 2019 was when I met Sasha, or XS, EXS, as his rapper name goes, on on Twitter. Uh, I used to love to debate, like, for no reason. Like, somebody say the sky was blue, and I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure the sky's blue? Because it's getting off like a teal, like a greenish. Isn't it like purplish when the sun goes down? Is it always blue? Blah blah. No, for no reason, man. I grew out of that habit and grew into more of a discussion versus just wanting to debate somebody. And they had like this study on Twitter, and it was saying that time goes by faster as we age, and the guy ex Sasha, whatever, you know, he wanted to agree with it, and I also agree with it because I also do feel like, I mean, because like when you're 8 years old, um, half your lifetime ago you were four, um, and everything's like new, so it's like I don't know how to explain it. I mean, everyone feels it, you know. Like as you get older, you're like, oh man, 2019 was 3 years ago, but when you're a kid, you're like 3 years ago. You're like, shit, that's half my lifetime, you know. So a lot of a lot of things seem like, even though it's the same amount of time, you know, it just seems that it goes by fast as you get older. Because one day you're 25, and then the next day you're freaking 39. I can attest to that. Um, and so X made a statement, like I said, that I agree with, but I just wanted to debate, and eventually we started messaging each other back and forth on Twitter, and it was cool, you know. I enjoyed every minute of it, you know. Um, because he was also a deep thinker as well, and so he had like a whole bunch of valid points, and then I'll try to make my little valid points or whatnot, and kind of like back in 2001, 2002, when I said my arts appreciation teacher, sorry with that, made us watch the Royal Tenenbaums, and then define like the characters who we felt, the deeper meaning, blah blah blah. I always did that like with not just movies. It could be like a song. It could be like something simple as like a blue ant sitting on top of a basketball. Like I like to think more than what I just see, you know. And he was the exact same way, and we kept up with our conversation all the way till now, ongoing. Very cool cat, very smart. Um, he lived in Dallas or Fort Worth, Texas, and I live in Louisiana. But our phone conversation, like we'll watch um, movies, and it's a cool friendship. And that was about it.